Hope you're doing well on this fine evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm going to do a quick discussion on the top 10 or the top mistakes that people make when they're young, like 18 to 25, and that will really set them back for life in their investing and financial future. I was lucky I avoided these mistakes because I've always used my head a little bit, but I see time and time again people make these mistakes. Just the other day, one of my younger mates got out a loan on a car. They lost $6,000 the moment they took that car out of the door. I don't want you making these mistakes. A little bit of background to my story, I guess. I wasn't from a wealthy background. I know you're going to hear that in every fake guru video, but this isn't a fake guru video. This is just advice that I've learned over my time. I'm from a wealthy background. I had to work my butt off, did a lot of the jobs that people didn't want to do to get any sort of assets accumulated or any sort of financial backing. So I understand, you're 18 or whatever, you finish school and life chimichangas you right in the nuts sometimes, especially when it comes to finance. Okay, because I've been there and I've been chimichanged and it's not a good feeling. Okay, so I'm going to go quickly over the top few mistakes in this video that I see young people making all the time and why you shouldn't do them, as well as give you some logic as to why you shouldn't do them. Number one, and you're notorious for this one, maybe some of you watching this video have done this one, taking a loan out for a car. Okay, when you take out a loan for a car, it's considered like a personal loan, so the interest repayments on it are much higher already. A lot of those loans, by the time you're finished paying off those loans, you're going to end up paying twice as much for the car, okay, than what it would be. So say you bought a $20,000 car, by the time you finish paying off the loan, you've paid off 32 to 40K, depending on how quick you pay it off and stuff like that. It's a nasty situation to be. 12 grand in the red if on that loan just straight away. Also, further to this, the moment you put those keys in the car, drive it off the lot out into the field, you've already lost probably a quarter of its value just going on that. And, you bought a $20,000 car, you've literally burned 5K driving the car off the lot. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't enjoy burning 5K into the atmosphere. It's probably not the best feeling unless you're Elon Musk at the moment. So not only have you put yourself into further debt, you got an asset that's depreciating. Every single day that goes by, that car as an asset is going to go down in value. You want to prove it to yourself? Just literally go Google any car out there, almost any car, and then Google what it's worth in 2 years. Okay, or try to find it in 2 years what the value of it's worth. Got a funny story on the car note. Okay, being that I wasn't from the best background, a little bit rough around the edges and all that stuff. My first car, God, I don't want to put this out on the internet. My first car was a 1980 Toyota Camry wagon. It was the opposite of a sexmobile. Well, I guess we use that term or whatever. It would literally make women run the other way. Quite literally screaming sometimes because the fan belt would often slip. So it was not a hot car. But it got me from A to B. It was economical. And believe it or not, people didn't really care what car you drove. So that was my first car. And up until I had enough money to buy my next car outright in cash, because I wasn't taking a goddamn loan, I didn't have I didn't have any other car. Just that beautiful bright blue beast getting me from A to B. Consequently, I could have dropped 30K on another car on a personal loan, and I'd probably still be paying it back today. Okay, and that extra 30K that I've probably saved from that is gone into investments and into houses and things like that. The difference is the investments appreciate in money, whereas the car depreciates generally. Okay, or the land appreciates in terms of the property. The other horrible one I see all the time, let me fix that for you. The other horrible one, by the way, sponsor me for a new phone. The other horrible one I see all the time is taking loans out for holidays. People taking 5 to 10K personal loans for holidays. You know what all that holiday is going to do? It's making you not going to be able to go on a holiday for the next 2 years, paying it back, and that's the truth of it, or putting it on credit card. There's not, if you're struggling, it really is an effort to pay back, 5 to 10K loan on a high interest rate. It eats into it a lot. Okay, and I've seen that one time and time again. You want to get it to a level in your life where your investments are at least semi-paying or partly paying for your adventures in the world, okay? This might take a little bit of discipline straight off the track, 18, you want to get out there, you want to see the world, but realistically, if you put in 6 to 12 months of hard work, you're going to be in a lot better position and not make these silly mistakes. You'll be in a lot better position to take those holidays and enjoy yourself a bit more without freaking out about paying back a massive loan by the end of it. The next one, any form of personal finance loan, avoid them. Anything that's got a high interest loan, avoid them. Anything that's an asset that doesn't appreciate or will be able to return a value to you in time, avoid them. Okay? Especially when you're just getting started. If you do it at the start, you're really going to set yourself up for a more of a struggling time. Not failure, obviously, but more of a struggling time. That businesses, this is a bit subsided. This is a bit two-sided, this one. I would say generally avoid them when you're fresh to the world. And there's a few reasons being. We're incredibly blessed where we are in Oz, and probably several parts of the other world are incredibly blessed in this way, where we can go and get work with maybe even a business we want to run in the future. So say you wanted to work in the fitness industry. Okay, say you wanted to put the capital up or borrow the capital off friends and family to get your own fitness gym or whatever plan you have, right? The capital you'll be outlaying for that will be 200 to probably 600K on your first one, and your parents might have to mortgage it against their house or take it out against their house or something like that. That's a huge risk, and you don't have the experience to top it off. So my advice to you is just say you wanted to work in the fitness industry, run your own fitness businesses in the future, whatever it is. It could be anything. It could be welding. It could be, I really want to be a welder, or I really want to do some form of welfare stuff, or whatever it is, or travel business, whatever. It's really not that bad going to work for some of those providers, you know what I mean? Or even if you just wanted to do a cooking business, going working at McDonald's isn't a bad idea, because make a joke out of McDonald's, but man, they're pulling in the cash and they run some of the most efficient retail systems in the world, foolproof business systems in the world, because they can hire every single person to work there. Haven't ever got an order, right? But they're making bank, all right, off of their products. So what's the harm? Like, you got nothing to gain out of going and working for these companies, but where you can learn all the back end systems, the customer service, how it operates, what its profits margins are, the rent it's got. You can learn all of that, and you get paid to do it. So at the end of the day, I can't see that as a bad thing for you when you're fresh out in the world, instead of just jumping straight into business and maybe risking your family's assets and homes. What's wrong with just getting a year or two of work experience with these companies that are performing so greatly, and learning what they do, learning what mistakes they do, learning what you can do better, and then applying it if you're really keen on going down that path. That obviously doesn't take into account. And this is why it's two-sided, We're in the age of the internet these days, where people can play Fortnite and make millions of dollars a year, and really your startup cost for a business like that is bugger all. Maybe take that assessment into account. If you've got a low-cost option that could have a good return, it might be worth putting in those hours to it, but I wouldn't be going and dropping a megaton of capital on a project when you're brand new out in the world. Savings. Yeah. Savings and spending more than you have. I remember being invulnerable. It's a wonderful experience. I remember tins of tuna and mee goreng. They were a wonderful experience. I remember having $2,000 coming out next week and only $200 in the bank. Most people, and there are people that will vary in this, but I'm telling you, most people, you need to build up a savings backing. If you were trying to invest in the stock market and you've got $100 in your bank account, come on, you're going to stress you out. You're probably going to spend more money on commissions unless you're using something like eToro. And you're going to be stressed. If you add your only 5K in the market and it moves 20% backwards, that's literally your entire net worth going down in value. It hasn't officially until you've sold it, but it's going down in value. My advice, if you're fresh in this world and you don't want to get chimichanged in the nuts or whatever you have, build 6 to 12 months of expenses in your account. Now, I've got another good story for you here of how I did it. When I came out the day after year 12, I left for a remote community up in the middle of top of Gove, Arnhem Land where it is, and I got a job at a yacht club that was paying all right. I did all the nasty stuff, all the cleaning, all the rubbish, all the bar work. I did the restaurant work. I did whatever would get me the hours to build up my cash, because it paid better there. And it was a better place to work. And then I did that for probably 4 months or something, and eventually talked myself into a trades assistant mining role for about 7 months before my body weight got too low, because I worked myself into the ground without accommodation. So to give you a concept, I went up there at about 74 kilos. By the time I finished working 80-hour weeks as an 18-year-old sleeping on the ground, after about 8 months, I think my body weight was down to about 63 kilos that I'd worked off just from the humidity, the heat, being on dirty tools, better angle grinders and stuff all day. My body just had enough. But I did 8 months up there. I did all the hard work and the discipline to build up that 6 to 12 months of expenses, a bit more actually, because backing behind me, so that then I could start to play the markets, or I can start to play the risk, or I could put capital out for a house, which is what I did with that money earned from there. I put capital out for a house and stuff like that, and I still had the 6 to 12 months expenses covered. If you don't do something like that, money is going to stress you out. I'm telling you, as someone who's experienced massive financial stress, it is one of the worst feelings in the world. It is literally gut-wrenching. It drops you to your knees when you don't know if you're going to eat again and stuff like that, or if you can afford to eat. It is gut-wrenching. So whatever it takes, I recommend personally building that 6 to 12 months expenses. All you need to do is fill out a little Excel spreadsheet, do up your expenses, and then bam, there's your first savings goal straight off the bat that you can work towards. All right, that's my number one thing for you. Once you get that backing, and once you've got that backing, you got to ask yourself, say you build 6 to 12 months expenses, you can start to leverage your future income, and it won't, you won't be crying if you lose $1,000, or you won't be crying it won't be your lifeblood to make $1,000 or lose $1,000. Makes sense either way. I generally liked stocks and property. They were my two investment avenues. Now, you can go any way down this path once you build that backing. You can go the business way, you can go this way, low-cost business still, if you're only got 6 to 12 months expenses and no assets to back you. But I prayerfully prefer cash flow, and I prefer to build my portfolios over time. That 6 to 12 months of saving, that's another dangerous period of your life, especially if you're new. A lot of people can see that and they'll try to take advantage of you. You get a lot of those like Dan Looks of the world and all of that, where they'll try to sell you on some dream, something that they convince you into believing would happen. And it happens to everyone. We're all a bit naive in the start about these sharks in the world that cause us this damage. But I personally would prefer to go into more cash flow based assets. Now, being that in the Australian market there isn't much positive geared real estate, I would tend to lean towards shares and take advantage of those options. With my US portfolio, for example, when I started pouring some cash into that, the parity was really close to parity, the USD to AUD. What I'm trying to say is try to take advantage to the opportunities that are around you and the best choice for you. Makes sense? Because that probably isn't an option now with the dollar at 1.5 or whatever it is. I wouldn't be putting my capital into US stocks because I'd get killed on the exchange rate. But I could look at home. I could look at the Australian market. I could look at that. I could also look at maybe doing a YouTube business, heading down that path. But that's really up to you. The point is you've got your backing. You've got your solid foundations. You know that, okay, I might try this business and I might lose a couple grand, but I'm still going to eat and I've still got a good attitude and I can still keep moving forward without panicking. Anyway, they're my few tips for you tonight. It is now very, very late at night. I need to get to sleep because I've got some adulting to do in the morning. I hope that helps you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I've got tons of spreadsheets and stuff if you want me to send them to you. We can do your budgeting and all that. All you got to do is leave a comment and I'll send them straight through to you. Good luck, stay safe, get ahead.